another video with DearPiggy's HTML CSS course. In this video, we are going to be working on border margin padding as well as creating a table. So let's jump right in. The first thing that we're actually going to learn about is border padding and margin. This one is kind of miscellaneous. We'll learn how to use borders with tables in a second, but for now, we'll just go ahead and take on border padding and margin. I'm going to create a replet, new REPL, HTML, CSS, JS, and create the REPL. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just to show you guys how we can do border padding and margin, I'm going to just do a normal paragraph tag. So I'll say P\P, and then here is our text. Kind of lame, it's okay, but we'll run our code and we see here is our text and that's just it. It's just there. Now, in our previous video, we learned how to use the external spreadsheet. So that's what we're going to be learning. That's what we're going to be using right now. I'm going to assign this to an ID called demo, because this is just a demo. And so now, since I've used an ID, I come back in here, use a hashtag, and say demo. So then I'll put my curly braces. The first thing I want to show you guys is border. So when I do border, I'll just type in the word border, and then I'll put a colon. Now, border is looking for three things. It's looking for the pixel size, solid or transparent, and the color. So we want, let's say 3 pixels, and then you have to put 3px. Then you're going to say solid, because in this case, we want to actually see it. We don't want it to be transparent, because then we can't see it. So we always choose solid, unless otherwise said. And then for color, we'll just stick with aqua right now. And then we'll put a semicolon. So now when we run our code, we see that we have an aqua border around the text. All right? So again, just to repeat, border is looking for 3 criteria. The pixel size as the first one, the solid or transparent, and finally the color. So those 3. Next thing we're going to work with is padding. So padding and margin also often get mixed up quite a bit. But lucky for us, we've added in a border. So now the difference between padding and margin will be very, very obvious. But this is how you do it. We're going to say padding, and then padding is actually just looking for some sort of pixel number or percentage. We're going to use pixels because pixels are a lot easier. I'm going to say 45 pixels. Now that's a lot, but run your code and see what happens. We see that this text has gone inside. So what does this mean? Basically, a padding is saying in the border, around the border, every single side is going to be 45 pixels. So this way is 45 pixels, 45 pixels, 45 pixels. So that's padding. Padding is inside the border. Next, let's do margin. Margin, colon, we will say margin is 30 pixels. So put the semicolon there, run your code. What happens now? The entire border, so everything along with the border moved in. And so this is 30 pixels. This is 30 pixels. This area is 30 pixels. All around, it is 30 pixels. So margin is outside of the border. So just to sum up what we learned on this slide, border is asking for 3 requirements. Padding is inside of the border, and margin is outside of the border. If you ever get confused about padding and margin, just go ahead and add a border, and you'll see the difference clear as day. Now, the last topic we're going to be working on is creating a table. So the table, there's a lot of tags. So it's going to look very complicated, but as long as we pay attention and we think about the names, it's actually not that hard. So let's go in and let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to get rid of this paragraph tag for now, and let's get started. The first thing we want to remember is that the table tag has multiple tags. However, we wrap the entire table up in the table tag. So we have to put the table tag. This is the first tag that we use. Now, the next tag that we use is table row. your table has many rows, right? It can go this way. There can be a lot of rows. So depending on how many rows you want to have, that's how many of the tags you'll put. So I'm going to say I want 4 rows. And so, by the way, this includes your header, by the way. So most tables have the header at the top that tells you what each category is for. Your number of rows includes this section at the top. So let's say I want 4. So I'll say TR, 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 and TR. So I did this 4 times because I want 4 rows. Now in a second, once we finish everything, you'll kind of see that it falls into place because the tag names kind of correspond to what you're actually doing. Now inside of our table row, the first row, so imagine you have your table. The first row at the top is usually a header. It's kind of like what your category is about, what that category, what that column is about. So that's why we have a special tag for this. We're going to call this one TH, so for table header. So how many table headers do we have? Since we can actually, it doesn't matter how many you want to put. That one is totally up to you. But since we have chosen 3 more table headers underneath here, we're going to put 3. TH, TH, whoops, I forgot the T. TH, TH, and then TH. So again, this is the header. This is going to be the bolded text. So we're going to say, we can talk about sports. So we're going to say first one is sport. So what sport is it? We can say what type. We can say, well, this isn't exactly a great topic, right? Because this is kind of hard. We can make a mock student list. So this is the name. First we want to have their names. Then we want to have their favorite subject. And last but not least, we want to have their favorite color, we can say. All right, so for now, I'm just going to run my code and let's take a look at what's happening. You'll see name, subject, color. And now this doesn't look like a table yet, and we're still getting to that. But this means we're already on the right track. Name, subject, color. This is in a row. Why? Because we wrapped it in one TR tag, one table row tag. So this is in a row. Now, since every single one of these is going to be a header in the future, because there'll be multiple names down here, multiple subjects, and multiple colors, we wrap them all in TH tags. So these are bolded. So now let's get on to our other TR tags. This is where we're going to introduce another new tag. We're going to introduce TD. So what TD means, it means table data. So all the rest of the information is kind of like data, filling in the rest of the table. So this is like the smallest cells of information. So that's why we call them the TD tags, because they're for big data. So now it really matters what order you're doing it in. If your table header starts with name and then subject and then color, then your table data cells have to follow that exact same order. So the first one has to be the name. So say I'm the student. The second table data cell has to be the subject. So say my favorite subject is math. Math, there we go. And then finally, I need another TD cell for color. And I'm going to say pink. Now let me run my code and we'll see what happens. Run. Sunny, math, pink. You'll see under the category of name, the first one was Sunny. Why? Because since the header, the first one was the name, then all of the rest of my table data cells, the first ones have to be the names. Subject, math, color, pink. Now let's continue on. I'm going to make another person, fake student, table data. Since these are all filling in the data, we're going to say your name is Bob. And then what's Bob's favorite subject? His favorite subject is going to be science. And then his favorite color is going to be blue. Run your code and you'll see Bob has gone underneath the name, subject, color, and we are on our way to making a table. Last but not least, let's work on the last table row. It's going to look like this. TD for the name. We can always put the name first. Let's say Sally. TD again, this time for the subject, let's say history, and then TD again. And then favorite color, we're going to say purple. So now when we run our code, we see that it looks just like this. So this is the structure of our table. Now we are done with our table, except we still need to style it. But let's take a look here. Each one of these was wrapped in a table row tag because this is in a row. So this was wrapped in the TR tag. Now the entire thing was wrapped in the table tag, but then this was wrapped in a TR tag, this was wrapped in a TR tag, this was wrapped in a TR tag, and this was wrapped in a TR tag. These three were wrapped in TH tags because they were the headers. That's why they're slightly bolded. Every single rest of these are wrapped in TD tags because they're kind of like the data. They're like the rest of the stuff that fills in the table. So this is what it looks like. Again, I know this looks complicated, but when you compare it with what you're doing here, then it kind of lines up. You'll see that all the rows and all the headers in this data cells, they're all matching up. And one last thing to remember is that the order matters. If I don't care about the order and I say, put this one as math and this one as my name, then when I run my code, the second one will be the name and the first one will be the subject. So you have to make sure that whatever order that you decide on in the header, you have to stick with it for the rest of your data cells. So let me go ahead and fix that, and then we'll work on styling. So we're missing a border for our table, right? And that's what we're going to be working on now. Let's go to our style.css. I'm going to get rid of this, and we're missing a border. We need a border around our table. So now we're going to say, using our styling video, so we're going to say table, TH, TD. So what does this mean? We're saying, essentially, go style the table, every header, and every data cell with the following. We're going to give it a border, and remember, it has 3 criteria. We're going to ask for 2 pixels, solid. Let's just use black for now. Or actually, let's use pink. So then I'm going to put a semicolon. Run your code, and we get this nice, organized looking border. Now let's explain what table THTD means. If you just did table and you just gave the table, then it would look like this. There would be a box around your table. If you just did table TH, it would put a box around all of your table header tags. So remember, we'd wrapped all of these in TH tags, so this is why only these are working right now. Then finally, since we want the rest to be wrapped in a border as well, we're going to say, take every TD tag and put a border around it too. So this is our end result. So guys, in this video, we talked about border, padding, and margin, and then at the end, we learned how to create the tables using the table, TR, TH, TD tags, and then we also styled it using table, TH, TD tags. Okay, so that's the end for this week's videos. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.